So just going through a little bit of the Kravmaga principles of sort of double covering stuff, because obviously I'm just going through the blocking bit. It's quite a shady area because like you don't really want to be there for blocking if you can get away, you know, preempting whatever. But I mean, just going through the principles of Kravmaga when you're blocking. I mean, obviously we got the usual blocks, you know, different martial arts and etc. But might just be putting a hand in an area, you know, to cover it, whatever. But another thing, obviously, you know, you've got the boxing blocks and all these sort of ones out here, you know, karate ones, etc. Even Krav Maga ones, whatever. Because you're thinking of like maybe there's a weapon or whatever. You're not too sure, depending on what situation you're in. So you might like. Again, you sort of got the 100% or the 200%. You're moving your head offline. You know, even if you're sort of blocking there, you're moving your head with it, double checking it really. Yeah. So, and a lot of them you're entering also. But I just want to cover one thing. Again, say I'm coming in here, I might be parrying. I might want to double cover there as well. You know, so I've got both covered. You know, it might be coming round that way or straight through. I've got a block in there and I'm sort of round here. but again, it's not here or here. I'm actually covering this part here, what you call the cerebellum part of the brain, which just deals with sort of memory stuff like that around the back. Like say a bottle, it come round and it, you know, it won't catch the arm. It won't go around the back because you could block it like a sort of normal boxing block. Even the shoulder up, it come round. I've had the experience actually with going from boxing to kickboxing, blocking something and then getting the actual shin coming around the back. Again, not illegal because you know, you can't really ban people. You've got a hard thing to ban them from going around the back. You can get around the back, it's quite something. But be not sort of covering that bit there. I know people obviously. You'll have a boxing block and then you'll have a MMA block with sort of more block with the arm, but we're thinking of more also in Krav Maga covering this bit around here especially. Yeah, that cerebellum really, the memory part of the brain. Again, that's why rabbit punches are banned. You know, I've seen rabbit punches used and totally, you know, change a fight basically if they're, you know, the referees, you know what I mean, not great at sort of being very specific on it. So we really want to cover it, especially if we're talking like weapons and stuff like that. You know, it could be a bottle coming around the back or anything. So we're going to double cover. So rather than sort of here or there, that's great, but double cover that around the back. But yeah, I had that with, you know, a kick come around, caught me in my legs when I thought I had it blocked. So I had to sort of extra careful block, but even more so with Krav Maga. You know, I know there's sort of seen sort of getting that underneath the Achilles, all sorts. But yeah, and also, you know, double covering everything really. That's the main thing I'm trying to get across. It could be in many sorts of blocks, you know, like I could be blocking here, wherever it is, but just extra covering these things. There's many sort of ones like the rhino, etc. But just going more for the principles of covering that bit there. Yeah, and I sort of went through on another tape, you know, sort of 100% block, 200% getting head off line, whatever, you know, double covering it. But this is sort of like double covering that area there, you know, so even if I'm blocking here, I might, when I'm coming in, I might want to be doing that as well to cover this part here around the back. Yeah, and that area there is, you know, an area we definitely want to cover. I mean, some say with Ali, you know, he's a great defensive fighter, but some I've heard said by a doctor that the reason he, you know, obviously had a lot of wars and that and etc. But his style, it's sort of glance shots, and as he got a little bit older, he used to catch them shots around the back more. So it's a school of thought that caused, you know, a lot more grief for him later on in life, getting hit there more. Yeah, so just want to get that across really. Covering there is a principle. Krav Maga. Obviously, you'd have to drill all these, you know, if you're sort of doing that and that or whatever. But again, I mean, it's never going to be completely like you've drilled anyway, even if you've drilled it 100 times, but just getting that principle there of covering that cerebellum there, a lot of Derval, you know, coordination, memory, etc. And your equilibrium really, especially if we're not only dealing with, you know, hands, etc., or, you know, it could be anything holding in there. So, and obviously that recall, you know, stopping that recall, a rimmy, entering, but getting that hand there. Obviously you don't really be in a position where you're blocking. It's better to be in a position where you don't always get the choice though, you know, you're talking it down and then you've got, and if you can't run, or whatever, you don't always get that chance to run. Sometimes the ego drags you back, kicking and screaming. We all got an ego, and we all, you know, lose the plot sometimes. But obviously, you know, want to sort of avoid it as much as you can, and then get out of it if some, you know, whatever. But you don't really want to be in a position of blocking if it is going to go off. Really, you know, you want to be talking it down, and then knowing when to hit first. If you get, you know, a chance to do that, and then getting out on your bike, as it were. But you don't always get the chance to do that. But you know, you'll have that idea in your head, really. You won't be there blocking anyway. I mean, even you know, I'm in the boxing history and that, and you go back to George Foreman's life. He, you know, when he was younger, he had to avoid a fight. He thought it was going to be where someone was double-handed. There was someone with him, and you know, they had weapons. He did square it off later on when it was more rounded off and asked for a fair one. But you know, even top fighters would avoid a situation. You know, Muhammad Ali, when he was younger, ran away from a weapon incident. So it's not, you know, it's not a macho thing to do. If you can do it, get out of there quick as possible. But you know, but if you've got we're watching that flinch response, you've only got probably a second or less than a second, so you want to drill it, these blocking drills, you know, entering a rimmy, you know, blocking, but, you know, practice covering there, so it'll be second nature, if unfortunately you get put in that situation. Yeah, so just want to cover that bit really, about covering that back bit there. That's more with the Kravmaga blocks we're thinking of. There's loads of different types of blocks, etc., different schools of thought, but I think that's just a good real principle to get in there, no matter what you're doing there, covering that back bit there, that cerebral core, the cerebellum, should I say, the back of the head basically. Yeah, and because again, we're not really made to be hitting it, obviously, but especially not from the back. Yeah, if anything, we're made from the front. I mean, you know, in car crashes, you'll see, I mean, you'll probably go into fright response either here, you know, forearm to throat, be a natural thing, but, you know, this is very common. You see that in car crashes, you know, people tend to break their wrists more when they do that naturally, and that's just a natural response. But if we can think of sort of, you know, covering extra there, so you got that there, or whatever you're doing, covering that back bit. Just want to overemphasise that. Good thing to drill in your training, but you have to drill it. But hopefully you won't get put in any situations just by attracting, trying to attract, you know, good things, etc. Bang.